All right, today we're diving into a piece of tech that's literally writing the rules for how we're going to own things in the future. We're talking about a world where physical stuff like buildings and stocks gets a massive digital upgrade. Let's get right into it. Just think about this for a second. What if you could buy, own, and trade a little slice of an office building in Tokyo? Or maybe a piece of a famous painting? All of it right from your phone? I know it sounds like sci-fi, but that's exactly the promise of tokenization. And this is the magic behind it all. Real World Asset Tokenization, or RWA. It's really just a fancy way of saying you're taking something real, something you can physically touch or legally own, and creating a digital certificate for it, a token that lives on the blockchain. And once you do that, it becomes super easy to split up, manage, and trade. Now, this isn't just some minor update. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how things work. We're stepping into a future where that line between physical and digital just gets blurrier and blurrier, opening up brand new ways for pretty much anyone to invest and own stuff. But, as you can probably guess, there's a catch. Because, the second you bring the real world into the digital space, you're not just bringing the asset, you're dragging all of its rules and regulations along with it. And that right there creates a huge challenge. And this is where you can really see the problem. On one hand, you've got your typical cryptocurrencies, which are built to be anonymous and free to send to anyone, anywhere, no questions asked. But then you look at real-world assets, things like stocks or a house, and they're the complete opposite. They're heavily regulated, and they absolutely demand to know who the owner is. You can't just sell your apartment to an anonymous wallet address, right? So how in the world do you get these two opposing systems to work together? Well, the answer is pretty brilliant. You have to create a new kind of token, one that has all the rules built right into its DNA. Enter the permissioned token. And that brings us to the hero of our story today, ERC 3643. It's basically a technical blueprint for making these special permissioned tokens. You can think of it like a token that comes with its own personal bouncer and a lawyer built into the code. It's designed from the ground up to automatically check who's allowed to have it and who they're allowed to give it to. So how does this digital bouncer actually do its job? Well, the secret sauce is all about connecting that digital token to a real verified human identity. And the entire system really stands on one foundational idea, a concept that's central to all of modern finance, KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer. It's just the standard process of making sure a person is who they say they are. Let's just walk through how it works. First, a user has to go through a normal identity check. Simple enough. Once they're verified, they get what you could call a digital passport. Now, anytime they try to buy or sell one of these ERC 3643 tokens, the smart contract automatically looks for that passport. If you've got it, boom, the transaction is approved. If you don't, denied. It's that simple, but also that powerful. And this whole idea of tying a digital action to a real-world identity, it's not just a theory. We can actually see a very similar principle in action in other corners of the crypto space, like with the Pi network, for example. They use their own Pi KYC system to make sure every single user is a real, unique person. This is all about securing their network and building a foundation of trust before they make the big leap to their mainnet. And this really nails the connection. The principle is the same. Just like ERC 3643 acts as a gatekeeper to control who can own financial tokens, Pi KYC acts as a gatekeeper to ensure the safety and integrity of its community. In both situations, a verified identity is the key that opens the door. So when you step back and look at the big picture, you see that ERC 3643 isn't really just about putting controls on a token. What it's actually doing is building a safe, regulated bridge between two massive worlds that have, until now, been completely separate: traditional finance and decentralized tech. So why is this such a huge deal? Well, this standard is what finally makes it possible to bring all those regulated assets onto the blockchain without causing a total mess. It automates the incredibly complex legal stuff, which saves a ton of time and money. It creates that essential link between Wall Street and DeFi, and maybe the most important thing of all, it builds the trust that big institutions absolutely need before they'll even consider getting involved in this space. So when you hear about ERC 3643, don't just dismiss it as some boring technical standard. You've got to see it for what it really is. It's the official rulebook for the next generation of all digital assets. This could be what unlocks trillions of dollars of value from the real world and brings it into the digital economy. Which, of course, leaves us with a really fun question to think about. With this kind of technology making it possible to own a tiny piece of pretty much anything, what's the one real-world asset you would want to tokenize first?